Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of Pod On with Chris and Emily. It is February 21st, 2018, and we are so happy to have you guys joining us. How's it going, Chris?
I guess it's going as well as I guess it can be, but I guess
For
we're
a
about to get
Wednesday.
into for Wednesday. We're about to get into all the reasons why it's been a good week. It's been a great week, and it's been just a difficult one, a bad week at that. So
Well, I think that is something that we can all agree on, that you can go through this like a whole array of emotions
mm.
and still like not lose sight of, how you really feel about like what's going on.
I,
I mean,
I agree.
my one of the things that I heard not too long ago was like, I heard somebody giving some celebrity shit about saying that this has been such an awesome year, but then in hindsight, and they were like, "How can you say that? This has gone on, this has happened, this is whatever, whatever," and
Hmm.
then be like, "Yo, calm the fuck down." Maybe it was personally a really great year for that person. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're just completely out of touch with what's going on.
Exactly. Like, yeah, I hate when people do that. Like, stop just thinking about yourself. Maybe that dude is crushing it for a totally different reason. Stop
Yeah,
making it
I
about you and let that
mean,
guy be happy. You
and
know?
in the terms of what we're dealing with as a society, I
Mhm.
think that it's okay to have a good day. In fact, I
Yeah.
I recommend it. I wholeheartedly recommend it, that if you are like so many of us and you spend a lot of time focused on what's going on in the news and what's going on just everywhere,
Yeah.
don't lose sight of the fact that there is still good out there.
This, yeah.
And
There's plenty
and,
of
and
songs
find
out there that remind us of that. The sun will come out tomorrow. There's plenty of reminders that
Yeah, you,
it
you've got
gets better.
you've got your friends, you've got your family, you got your kids, you got your whatever. What it makes you happy
Yeah.
and what you derive your joy from is not it's not symbolic of what's all going on. You can still
Right.
be in touch with what's going on and still find joy in something within your personal life that is
Right.
good.
Right. I'm a firm believer in the fact that two things can be true. People can be in a situation where tragedy is happening, and then at the same time, people can find the best week ever. We always find like the best out of the worst. A lot of times, and
Well,
it's just the way we are.
I think that's essential to survival, don't you think?
We have to be that way. We have to think of 9/11. I mean, look how the country came together. The moments right after it happened. So it's just our human. It's our nature. We're at our best when we're at our worst, and I firmly believe that.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously we can open up the show with a lot of different things. There's been a whole no news cycle since the last time that we talked,
Mhm.
and obviously shit's still fucked up. But I think that we can, try not to dwell so much on everything that you're seeing nonstop in your news feed or your Twitter feed or on the news or whatever it is that you're doing, because we
Right.
get it.
Right.
You see those things every day.
Right.
So what we try to do is we try to pull within that shitstorm and we try to find different things that maybe are different. So for me, the topic that I wanted to talk about, and this is not something that I just came up with originally. Obviously, I remember when I was in college that we discussed this and we spent a lot of time talking about it. But it's something that you see pop up after each one of these mass shootings and the things that, just are so devastating.
Right.
But the one topic that I did want to talk about briefly today was this idea of toxic masculinity
Hmm.
and how it is, depending on who you ask, tied to the violence that we see within our society. And I'm not just talking about mass shootings, I'm talking about everything from street violence and gang violence and just this constant barrage that we see in this country of men and boys who maybe think they're men, turning to violence, talking
Yeah.
about, how did this happen? How did we get here? And what do we have to do to change it? So one of the things that I kind of wanted to talk about was I know that maybe this idea of toxic masculinity is kind of pushed aside by a lot of people who don't want to really focus on the psychology of these particular events. But um, so I don't know very many people who grew up in a household where there weren't gender roles. I happened to grow up in a household that was more of a matriarchal household. My dad was there. Obviously, he's great. I love him. My mom was there. Great. Love her. But there was a definite presence that was more matriarchal than what a lot of households do.
Mhm.
But you've got this society where gender norms are so defined. And you've got these beliefs that men are supposed to act one way, women are supposed to act another way. And then it causes a lot of confusion because, in reality, regardless of gender, we are very, very similar when it comes to how we deal with things. When you see somebody who deals with something in a particular way, chances are it's more based on what their gender role that's been imposed on them by society has told them how they're supposed to react.
Mhm.
So, as a woman, I, regardless of what kind of household I was brought up in, one of the things that you're told to embrace is your emotion and your openness to being emotional about certain things. Whereas a lot of the men that I know are the opposite. Men have this, if you grow up in a household or if you're surrounded by men who are, I guess, old fashioned is a good way to put it. But if you grow up in these households where men are made to believe that their feelings need to be suppressed and they need to keep everything bottled up inside. And there's things that, you know, men are supposed to do. Women are supposed to be the caretakers. Women are supposed to take care of the house. They're the ones that show the love. They're the ones that show the emotion. Whereas with men, you're told that you are a man and your job is to provide and your job is to be the strength and the protector
Protector. Yeah.
of your family. How do you reconcile that when you have the emotions that any normal person should have? You're in this society, and it's not just America, but I can't really focus on other people. I have to focus on just like our country,
Yeah.
where you are taught those things. I mean, I tried to break it up when I was trying to think of this topic, and I was trying to break it up into people our age or older, people who exist now, who are maybe a little bit more in touch, men wise, or more in touch with like their feelings, and they're more open. And then people I know that have young children,
Mhm.
primarily women, because I wanted to reach out to women just to kind of start the conversation. But I wish I would have had more time to talk to parents. But I know that you have children and you have sons, and I kind of wanted to get your take on this. So,
Yeah,
r-
there's times where I was just thinking about it while I was running it down. For the most part, for little things like the whole crying over spilled milk kind of things. I try to
Mhm,
teach my kids where when it's things that where like there's more important things like it's more important to share with your brother and sister, especially to my oldest, but I teach them all this. It's more important to
mhm,
share with your brother and sister than than fighting over this little trivial thing. Like my son,
right.
he wants like this book that he found that or actually which is a cell phone manual that he wants to hold on to because he likes the technical stuff that's in it.
Yeah,
But
that's cool.
but his 3-year-old brother who doesn't understand any of this stuff, he just wants it because he sees him
He
having it.
has
He
it.
wants it.
Right. Right.
And I try to remind my oldest that you already had it. You can read it. You can do something that he can't do with it.
Mhm.
You've already had it all day. Let him have it for a little while. You get to play with
Yeah,
all this
because
other extra
chances are
stuff
he's
that he
gonna,
doesn't.
well,
He's
and
gonna get
chances are
bored
he's
with
gonna
it.
forget about it in like
Yeah,
5 minutes, and then you'll be
right.
right back to reading
So
it.
the second I take it from him and let the little brother have it for a little while, he starts to ball up a little bit and start crying. And I try and I stop him at first. and at first I was wondering, was I doing it because it's like the whole boys don't cry, which is no, I let CJ cry. I let him when his emotions come out. I don't fight him on his emotions, but I knew where it was coming from, and I was trying to teach that lesson more important than anything. Maybe I was failing. Maybe I wasn't letting his emotions out. But I told him that I reminded him, look at all the things that you're able to do that he's not. Let him get tired of it first. Trust me, you'll get it back. And then he instantly, he understood what I was going at. Because I let my daughter. I said the same thing to my daughter. Even I wasn't gonna just in that same scenario. I'm not gonna let her allow her to cry and just cry it out. No, I would have given the exact same lesson. And I try not to only let my daughter think that she can only play with the frou stuff, the Barbie stuff, and this stuff. I don't just try to say how pretty she is or anything like that. I first start with smart, and I try to start with things like that, and whatnot. Because I'm just a firm believer that once you know how pretty you are, then you'll let that, like, quote unquote, you'll act that way a certain way or something like
not
that.
just that, but
Being told that, I'm over and over.
You tend to, as a female, I can tell you that, and I am very conscious about this when I speak to other little girls, as if I'm a little girl. But when I speak to little girls, I try to tell them things like, "Oh, you look so smart," or "You're so smart," or whatever, because those gender roles and those stereotypes are so powerful. People don't understand. I don't think people understand how powerful they are.
And that is for girls.
Right. I mean, and you have this, you have to be so careful. And
what you said earlier really resonated with me a second ago, and I didn't think about that. It's like we do these things. We say, "Oh, boys only allowed to do this, toughen up. Girls are allowed to only do this, be sweet." But then you said, "But we all, boys and girls, have all of these same feelings.
Absolutely.
Why are you shutting them down on one side and then releasing them on this side, and on the other side you're releasing these feelings on this side, but shutting down these?" It's like, and then when we become adults and we're all messed up and wondering why we can't reconcile our feelings, it's because we weren't allowed to express them equally.
Right. And that's a huge issue. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that we see this society of boys, and I hesitate calling them broken, because I've seen this in a lot of different things that I did research on. And I don't want to call any particular group broken, but I do think that there is something to be said about boys who are brought up to believe that their anger is okay, because anger is equivalent to masculinity, whereas emotions that you could work through and you could actually spend time digesting, and if you're able to, even at a young age, if you're able to go through these emotions and be able to constructively unpack them, you're able to rationalize them and accept them, and it's a healthier way of then just that particular feeling turning to anger, because anger is more acceptable. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't. So I don't know.
Well, you're right about that, but in a lot of ways, especially in the workforce, if a guy shows anger, he's showing strength. If a girl shows anger, she's being too emotional, she's being a bitch, she gets hit with all these negative labels.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir here, because as someone who is very much an emotional, wear my emotions on my sleeve kind of person, I catch myself doing this at home. I catch myself doing this at work. And it sucks, because at work you have this crazy, like, I have to worry about, am I being too emotional? I have to worry about, am I being too aggressive? I have to worry about if I'm just being, how my mannerisms are, like,
all those things, all these extra stuff that I wouldn't have to think about.
Right. And I mean, and yes, and I hate to say that, but yes, it's true. But I think that going back to the whole, idea of having sons, I actually reached out to one of my best friends in the world. I mean, we were roommates in Iraq, and we spent so much time together, and now, we're still best friends, and I'm actually the godmother of her son. And I asked her, I was like, she's very she's very much one of those, and I say this because she calls herself this. She's very much a crunchy mom, and she is very earthy, and her son, you know, they only have one kid together, and she's able to stay home with him, and they're able to, you know, she's really able to like cultivate this child the way that I think children are supposed to be cultivated, because you are essentially doing the most important thing in the world, as in raising this child and then sending them out into the world where other people have to deal with them. So her child he's amazing. He's the most compassionate child I've ever been around. And I mean, I'm not downplaying anybody else's kids, because I'm sure they're all great, but he has this weird spirit about him that's like, you can tell he's just so evolved and different. And I asked her, I was like, you know, what are you doing to help him avoid the pitfalls of this toxic masculinity, this tough guy persona that so many men and so many boys are basically, it's pounded into them to become? You know, what are you doing to combat that? And, you know, her answer was very simple. She was like, it seems like it's the most simple thing in the world, but it's the hardest part about parenting. You know, you have to, she was like, I choose to raise him as somebody who values human beings, regardless of race, gender, ethnicity, whatever, because I want him to see that all people are equal. And I want him to be able to understand that his feelings are valid, just like everyone else's feelings are valid. I want him to be kind, because in a sense, and I can't remember how she put it, but humankind they're one thing, but they're two things, you know, like you want to be human and you want to be kind. And this idea of boys will be boys. No, boys will be decent human beings.
Right.
That's their role.
If you raise them to be decent human beings, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's this.
You don't just put them in a room full of chainsaws and battery ass and go, let's just see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, they're boys will be boys. And I think it's
that's
so
the shit that
important.
gets you in trouble.
Well, and I think that it's, in a lot of ways, being a boy is, you know, we always hear these things about, oh, well, being a girl is so hard and there's so many opportunities that are not available. Yes, you're right. You are absolutely right. But I know, like in my particular line of work, I have been asked. So for the last few years, there has been this push by corporations and people wanting to donate to a particular cause. And they've gotten in their minds that, and they've heard it from other places too, that they've got to pump all this money into like pushing females into STEM academics, which is totally true. It's a completely unbalanced system. But at some point it gets to be where it's like, this is great, but I can't do another gender specific event because I don't know. I think it's getting to the point where I'm like, we're leaving another part of the population completely out. And there is a loneliness that comes with being a boy in a world where there's so much focus on building women up, building young girls up. It's a loneliness.
I'm with you on that, and like I guess in risk of getting attacked by feminists or whatever.
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna get it too, but I don't care.
I know.
Come at me, bro.
But so it's like I always say that to people when it comes to stuff like that, especially like with race stuff and whatnot. Are you fighting for change and equality, or are you just fighting to tip the scale so you can be winning for the next couple of centuries or whatever?
Well,
right?
I think it's more of a balance. I think people get in their minds that they have to level the playing field, and I agree with that.
I'm talking about other people. That's the first thing I ask at first,
right?
Because you get a lot of people who try to sound like they're trying to create a level playing field, but in reality, even when they get what they want and they push for more, or it's like, okay, then I'm like, okay, are you fighting for equality or are you fighting to tip the scale the other way? Because that's dangerous either way. It wasn't right when these guys did it to you, this other group. So why should we then just give the power to the group and then let them do it for, to the first group for a while? I'm always afraid about stuff like that.
Well, this is the danger of the pendulum swinging too far one way or the other.
Right.
Because you've got, for so long, there was an inequality, and there still is to an extent, but I think that we're definitely making strides to make it better. And I don't discourage anybody from, pushing for these like inspirational things that encourage women and young girls
Like
to
the Me Too,
pursue.
like the Me
Well,
Too movement, right?
no, but not just that. I'm talking about like in everyday life. You've got, I'm a firm believer that the only way that this country is going to survive is if we invest wholeheartedly in our education system and in STEM careers, meaning science, technology,
Right.
math, engineering, all of these things. These are
What the hell is up with this war on science lately? You got people coming all the way out of nowhere just talking about denying everything in the world that's scientific now. And they're doing it on podcasts, they're doing it on streaming services and stuff. It's like, how much science can you
so
deny
scary.
when
So
you're all over it, and using it to your advantage? I hate that.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's a very, very scary, scary place to be right now. And I really, that whole thing is just
But,
we could talk all day about that.
it's a reckoning coming, right?
But I mean, it is. I mean, you're going to see you're going to see a backlash in anything that swings too far one direction or another. And obviously, the ultimate goal for people like myself and for people obviously like you and people in this country that have any fucking sense is that equality is the goal.
Right.
And it should always be the goal. And when I say equality, I mean equality for men that allows them to be the to enjoy the full human experience.
Yeah.
And for women, it also means the same thing. And that means if you're a woman and you want to pursue a career in this, whatever, then I want you to be able to do that and also enjoy all the things that are beautiful about being a woman, whether that's having children or writing a book or being a part of whatever it is, as long as you are fulfilling all the things that you want to fulfill and you are giving back to your community in whatever way it is, whether you're a man or you're a woman, I want that to be equal. And I think that's something that we lose sight of. And it bothers me because I see in this world that we're living in right now, we spent 8 years under administration that wasn't perfect, but it had a heavy emphasis on civil liberties and equality.
Yeah.
And that is something that for some reason did not transfer over to this new administration. You've got people who are, what is the fucking dilemma? Like, what is the dilemma? I need to know.
I never get that.
I don't fucking get it.
I never get it with the other side, because if as much as, and I agree with what you're saying, as much as you disagree with a liberal point of view or Democrat, whatever you want to call it, point of view, at the end of the day, if I look at it like this, I used to argue with my ex about stuff like this all the time. If we're arguing over the exact same, we're arguing about something and we have two different ways of solving the problem, right? Now, if one person's way of doing it, of solving the problem, might not be the other person's way of solving it, but it gets part of it done. The second person's way of solving the problem might not be the first person's way of solving it, but it gets it 100% done. So, like, and here's what I mean when I say that. Conservatives or Republicans or whatever might not like, liberal views and might not agree with the thing, like the major things like abortion and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, does allowing these things to these laws to exist, or to these agendas, stop the people who don't agree with it from doing what they want to do? No, it doesn't. Now, on the other side, does applying the laws that you want to inflict, does it affect 100%, the opposition? The answer is yes. So why is it that Democrats and liberals get such a bad rap when, if the thing that they want gets put into law, you still have the right to be pro-life?
Still there. That's it.
Yeah, you're still there. You still have the right to be pro-life. You still have the right to go to church. You still have the right to do all this. All those things can equally exist. But yet, if the opposition gets in power, then you can have the power to totally shut down the other
someone
side,
else's rights.
Someone else's rights who doesn't agree with you. Like that, I can't stand.
I honestly cringe every time. So, and I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking about every time somebody equates civil liberties to pro-life
Yeah,
or anti-abortion or whatever
yeah,
you want to call yourself. I cringe because I'm like, there are so many other things that go into civil liberties
yeah,
that you want to hang on to this idea, this one thing that
yeah.
you've been, it's pounded into your head. You're
Yeah,
just
you
like
won't let go of it. Yeah.
pro-life, 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 until it comes to, mass shootings at school. Obviously,
No,
then
well,
you're
yeah,
not necessarily pro-life then, but hey,
when the kid is before the
whatever.
kid is born, yeah, they have we have to fight for their
You
lives. But
got
the second
morals.
they're born, you're on your
Yeah.
own.
Yeah, sorry, kid. Get the fuck out of here. Make your own food, get your
Yeah,
own money. I don't give a shit. Don't ask me for nothing. I helped you get born. Well, thanks a lot.
yeah,
What the
exactly.
fuck
Well,
did
thanks
you
for helping me get
thanks
born,
for
but not protecting,
nothing, you
but not
asshole.
protecting me at school. Yeah. Why'd
Yeah,
you let me get born with all these things around me that can
right.
kill me automatically?
Exactly. It's like you're kind of a dick and you're kind of taking the fucking you're kind of taking the
I
cheating way
never
out of shit.
exactly, and I never get it. Why is it that if you care so much about your damn the guns and you don't care about these kids getting killed, then why do you care so much about the liberal who wants to because like you said, a person who is pro-choice can also equally be
Right.
pro-life personally. I could be like,
Absolutely.
I'm pro-choice. I'm pro-choice. I'm not gonna stop anybody's right to choose. But me personally, I would never do it if the situation and that
Right.
they can two equally exist. That's the real. I feel like I'm gonna maybe I should start my own march. I'm feeling that liberals are the real conservatives and the real small government ones, and not the
Absolutely.
other
I
side.
agree with you 100%. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you have it blows my mind when you've got these people that are like, oh, I don't want government involved in this, and I don't want
Yeah,
government involved in this. But then,
except for the things I
but
want.
that's exactly what you want.
Exactly what.
You you've got a whole group of people out here who just want to survive and they just want to thrive and they just want to be the person that they want to be.
Yeah.
We're not talking about abortion.
They're
We're
not
not
trying to
talking about
shut you down. They're not trying to shut your church down. They just want to be left alone.
this whole, it's like, I swear to God, I think that people who are just this like hung up on this like pro-life bullshit are just sitting around jerking off to like think the thoughts of women getting ready to go to the club and they're like, do I wear this dress? Do I wear that dress? Do I go have an abortion now so I can drink or do I wait until the
Yeah.
next day? Motherfucker, that is not how this
Yeah.
works.
America
Like,
was great when women
calm
just shut the hell up
down.
and just let us run everything. Like
Oh,
that's what they
God.
really think.
And
But
every single thing that you have these people who are just like, well, there's this war on religion and there's this war on these
oh, yeah,
on
no,
our
there
rights.
isn't.
Like, no one is talking to you. Have a fucking
Do
seat.
you know how many
Calm down.
atheists? Do you know how many atheists out there celebrate Christmas still every
Me,
year and love
I
it?
do. You
I,
went to my Christmas party.
it
You know how
blows.
this goes.
I'm like, and the second I walked in the door, I was like, what the hell is up with all this war
You're
on
like, I thought
Christmas?
there was going to be like sacrifices and like,
Yeah.
cross burnings and
I
shit.
thought
No,
I thought we were
that's
about to talk about the true origins of the Christmas tree, from the pagan
the
ritual.
pagan holidays. Yes. No, that's the thing. It's like nobody gives a shit about whatever you think is being taken away from you because the fact remains that nothing is being taken away from you. Giving someone equal rights 9 times out of 10 is not, and it's not infringing on your
It's not going to
rights.
take exact, and that's what I feel.
So
That's what I get
please
mad about on the
explain if
people
you
on the
think
other
it
side.
is.
And it's but and here's the problem though. But on the other side, they're better at getting their message across,
No, they're
and we
not
can.
better at it. They just have a
Well,
whole, well, they
well,
just have
think
a
about it.
whole army of evangelicals who have been convinced that every belief that they have is under attack. When in reality, two dudes getting married because they love each other and they want to be married and they want to create a family and they want to be together has absolutely no
Well,
bearing on what the fuck you're doing. And
well,
if it does, then you're too involved in what they're doing.
yeah, yeah. Why don't you get out of? Why don't you just get
Get the fuck
your
out of their
eyes off of?
business.
Yeah, get your hands and your eyes off of what's going on in your neighbor's house and worry about what's going on in your
Exactly.
the sec. Look, I mean, we put these laws out on the conservative. on the conservative side, and it baffles me how they don't see that
The
hardcore right
hypocrisy,
religious,
the
not,
hypocrisy
not
of
just the
it.
hypocrisy of it, but how it simulates what Nazi Germany was doing. They don't
They
they
don't
don't
get it.
they
They
love to
don't get it.
call feminists feminazis, and they love to call liberals the ones that hate the flag and stuff, but they don't see it, how this history is
Mm-mm.
repeating
They
themselves.
don't.
Everything that these tree huggers and feminists and stuff are fighting for, if they got it 100%, if everybody in the Supreme Court were all, liberals and whatnot, everything that you're doing on the right would still exist
Yeah.
and be legal. And that's the part they just won't admit. Well, they know it. They know it. They
Well,
just
these
can't
are the
say it
people
out
that
loud.
are also going to be the same people that are like, big government, get the fuck out of my house, get the fuck out of my rights, get the fuck out of everything that I'm trying to do. Oh,
Except for
but while you're doing that, could you talk to my neighbor who's having gay sex or who is trying to fucking decide whether or not a fifth baby is the best choice for them or whatever, or how these people who are in a impoverished situation should be able to spend their food stamps, because I mean my friend at church, he just subscribed to Blue Apron and he loves it. So why don't we
right.
just give all of the people on food stamps Blue Apron?
Yeah,
Stop.
like I hear
Stop
stories
it.
like that all the time.
Stop it.
My white friend was on food stamps for only like 6 months, and she was
Two
able to get
months. It's
get
amazing.
out of it.
She
And then
got a job.
she got a job and everything. Well, how did that happen? Well, her friend of hers that she knew, and her dad
Word.
was a CEO, and they just gave her the damn
I
job.
just gave her the job.
How many black girls or black boys from the hood know a friend that's a CEO like that?
Exactly.
And they don't
It is a
connect those
complete
dots.
disconnect. It's a
They
complete
don't
disconnect.
they
And you
can't see
just,
it unless it's happening to them. It doesn't matter.
even if it were happening to them, they still wouldn't get it.
Yeah, that's oh man, it's you've
So
you
just to
got on
go
on a
back,
topic that can blood. Oh, go ahead.
just to no, I'm just gonna tie up the topic that I started on, because I know, hey, look, this show is all about going on rants, and this is exactly what we're doing. And I think it led us down a rabbit hole that definitely needed to be done. But
Sing
I
it,
think,
sister.
I think, just to go back to the toxic masculinity thing, I think that
Uh-huh.
if you're listening and you're raising a son, obviously I want to hear from you. I want to know what it is that you're doing to make your son,
Say it again.
to raise your son in a way where he is able to be the boy that everyone told you was going to be so fun to raise, but to also be a well-adjusted human being in this
Yeah.
world who, when he becomes teenager or a 20 something year old person, is not living in this just constant state of loneliness because they don't have the capability of breaking down their feelings and being able to just feel like that's it. Like I want everyone to feel. I want everyone to be brave. I want everyone to feel. I want everyone to look at the person that they love and be like, you know what, I'm feeling a certain way. And I don't know how to express that. And I'm working on that and I'm trying. But be real about it.
Yeah, when we know that it's not going to happen overnight. Even me, I'll admit there are still, because every man and well every person, every man and woman, um, uh, has that I don't know, that thing inside them when they're raising kids, um, where they just regress to what they know and how they were raised. There's still some times where I might I'll cringe at something that my son might do or my daughter might do, or where I've been taught that only a boy
Mhm.
might do this and only a girl might
Yeah.
do that. Now that and it even though I might not be 100% down with the overall message, and I try to change it for the most part, I still know that we're human and that I'm still going to regress into certain things. Only because we all have the right to raise our children in the way that we are used to and way that we feel is right and well, how they say, in our own image, right?
Yeah.
And whatnot. So and it's just going to happen. So I know that I didn't have the greatest. My mom did the best she could. I didn't have the greatest, and I'll try to do more for my children than what my mom was able to do for me. And but there's still sometimes that I might regress, and I might say to be a man, toughen up or stuff like. I don't try to 100%, but I know that there's some things that I might go old school on. It's just because that's
Well, let me ask you a question, and you can think about this and get back to me. But do you think when situations arise with your sons or even with your daughters, where you, as you said, revert to this old school mindset,
right.
do you think that the majority of your feelings and the reason that you resort back to that is due to fear of knowing what your children are going into as far as like the world that we live
Yeah,
in?
being teased, being
I
this,
mean,
that, and the other.
but not just that, but I mean, like you know, there are things that are happening in this world that you're afraid that if you don't prepare them to, um, like it's almost
Yeah,
like a defense mechanisms or whatnot that you're like, you know what, I want you to be this free spirit, and then I want you to
yeah.
like, you know, fucking do
I'll give you an
everything.
example. I'll give you an example right now. You're right. Because I'm a sensitive guy. Everybody who really knows me knows that I'm.
I
So it's
think you
not.
are. I think you are.
Yeah. I'm. So it's not about whether or not I'm afraid of my son expressing his feelings or whatnot. It's not that. But like I said earlier, two things can also be true. I can be sensitive about a lot of things. I feel like I feel things deep 10 times more than the average bear, right? But I will. I've had these little conversations with especially my oldest, since he understands a little bit more, and I know I'm going to go deeper into it. Little things like, he asked me what happens if we get pulled over by a police officer when we're driving and whatnot, and it hasn't happened. Well, he was a baby when the first time it happened when he was in the car, so he doesn't remember it. And it wasn't a bad experience, but
Yeah, because you mentioned that you really haven't had too many
I've never
bad experiences.
But that experience though, I remember it was a black cop too, but I remember being really annoyed with him, and he gave me a warning. But I remember being
Mhm,
annoyed with that guy because
mhm.
what he pulled me over was BS. But I was annoyed because I was thinking my newborn son is in the back seat, and it made me think, well, what if this was a bad situation or a bad
Yeah, what are you supposed to do?
and I knew then right there, I was like, oh, holy shit, I'm being faced with that reality right now. My son's not
Yeah,
even, he's only a few weeks old, a few days old, I think, at the time. And I was already prepared. I'm going to have those conversations with him.
yeah,
It's just a reality of life. Because of the way you look, you might have an experience where somebody with the power and authority might
mhm.
use and abuse that power and authority for some shit that they were raised and how they feel and whatever. And they're bringing all that shit onto you for
Absolutely,
nothing that you've done
absolutely.
wrong or nothing that you did, hopefully, but
Hopefully,
but
right.
just because of how you look, and he doesn't see it yet, but I know the lessons are coming, and
But
I'm
you, yes, exactly. You
gentle.
know that those are things that you're going to have to prepare. Just like as a female,
Yeah,
I know that there was a time in my upbringing that my mother had to prepare herself for the conversations that she was going to have with me about things that women could do and they couldn't do, and the things that we had to be more reserved about, and how
right.
we had to approach things. There are really only a select few of us in the human race who are able to just completely be ourselves. And I
Mhm.
even you're quick to hear things like white men are the only people who are able to really be themselves. But
Not really. Yeah, I don't
I'm
believe that.
trying to
No.
be, I'm trying to be, I'm trying to take this in a different direction. And I want to just be honest because, yes, you know, and I know that a lot of the things that you hear pushback wise, like whether it's online or whatever, regarding white men and the things that the pressures they face, right? And the scrutiny they face and all these things that they face, you're not going to see a lot of white men miss out on job opportunities. You're not going to see a lot of white men be stopped by police and just completely manhandled by whatever cop decides to pull them over if they happen to be racist or whatever. Those things are a lot of times they're constructed out of this need to want to feel like they're not oppressed in some way. Okay,
You're
that
not being
makes sense.
oppressed. If you're able to walk around the streets of America with with an
AR-15, yeah,
AR-15 on your shoulder, free open carry, and police
and
officers not be
protests.
afraid, and protest, and police officers not be afraid of you, and not immediately put you on the ground face down, then
Right.
then the odds are you won the sperm lottery or got a good hand dealt to you a little bit in this
Yeah,
country. You
you're what
might
we
have
like
a
to call
little leg
lucky.
up. Yeah, because there are people in this country. I'm not going to name names, but there are people in this country who don't have that
Right.
mutant ability.
But in fairness, we're going to go with the belief that everything is relative. We all experience things differently, and we all take in our environments differently. And I think, to close it out, more importantly, we all feed off of the energy and the beliefs and the things that are pushed on us by outside entities, regardless of where you come from. Whether you're a woman, whether you're a person who is a minority, whether you're a man, a white man, whatever, I'm going to reach out and extend this belief in this olive branch to all the white men out there that are slighted or they feel slighted, and just so you know, hey, look, I get it. You're dealing with some shit, and I want you to know that I'm here to listen, and I'm not gonna just completely shit on all of your arguments.
Yeah.
But I'm here to help you break those down, unpack them, understand what's going on. So, anyways, there's that.
Well, let me tell you whose arguments I am about to shit on
I
right
like
now.
it. Hit
That's that's all the people who got on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and whatnot to dump all over the what this emotional time is going with these students over there at Parkland after the shooting. One student in particular, and his name is David Hogg. He's one of the students that right after the shooting happened, that same day, he was interviewed by the press, and he gave, he spoke with a lot of intelligence. He enunciated. He kept his emotions in check, and
really great.
he was one of the many students from that school, and bravo to the teachers, man, because they those kids are crushing it. But he's one of the guys. He's the main guy being attacked, and the reason that I bring him up mostly is for two reasons. One, the day of the shooting, I remember the first time I saw him on TV was like it was like an hour or so after the shooting happened when they were interviewing students. What's her name? Her
Rachel.
name is it Rachel? No, not Rachel Maddow. In the morning, the redhead with the red hair, and has the bald headed co
I can't remember.
Rule, Stephanie Rule. She was the first person to interview David Hogg, and after he gave after his words resonated with her, even she acknowledged, like, wow, you are like one of the most outspoken
yes,
young men I've talked to in a long time. And she even gave him a little bit more after that, like said that look out for this kid. He's going to be a world leader. You can tell, a leader someday. And then I saw that, and I was like, I saw it live. I saw it live when it happened, and I was like, okay, that was awesome. And it came and it went. And then literally, was it yesterday? I'm going through my Facebook feed, and there is his picture again, saying, "Look at this actor," from some guy from a right wing guy. Look at this actor. He was on he's paid from the left to pretend to be a student and give these fake interviews and whatnot. And I was like, wait a second, I recognize that kid. I saw him give that interview literally minutes after the incident happened. I'm like,
Right.
you gotta tell a guy who saw him on live TV that this actor from California knew to go all the way to Florida within minutes of after before they even caught the guy. They within minutes of after, and then he faked that he's a student, no, and that he faked being a student. He got on TV and whatnot, and all these teachers and other students around him, nobody could call him out. That these are
Mm-hmm.
the same students who for years were saying that they knew that Cruz was a problem, and they were saying, well, they called that out repeatedly. You don't think that the students themselves would have called this fake student, this actor, out right there on the spot that it was happening a week afterwards? It,
Yeah,
it,
if
it, blew,
only
it
just to
blew my
say,
mind.
"Fuck you, you're ruining my cause." Like
Yeah,
you're don't
right.
get involved.
Exactly. Like you're a fake. You're a fake student. You're not real. And then the thing that they were using. These are the people who are always talking about everything that's talked about them is fake news. Yet they go into the archives of when this kid just happened to be
Mm-hmm.
on the news 2 years ago of something that happened in California. It's just a coincidence. It was something about a boogie board or a body board or whatever that he couldn't put in the trash can. He was covering the trash up and got a
Oh yeah,
fine for it.
you
And
told me about that.
yeah, and
Yeah.
he talked about it. Two
Uh-huh.
years later, he's in a shooting. And okay, so now he gets to get on the, he gets to give another interview again. Why? Because for one, he's comfortable in front of the camera. They were looking for students who were okay with
Mm-hmm.
talking, even though their feelings and their emotions were raw right there on the spot. And they got those students who felt like they could do it, and he was one of the ones who volunteered. But because they probably looked into his Facebook page and saw that he's been on the news before, they immediately called him an actor. They immediately said he wasn't a real student. It reminded me of those parents who lost those first graders who said where those assholes said those kids didn't exist. They were just left wing props that those kids never exist.
Well,
If you ever call,
that's actually
that's
exactly what I was going to bring up when you brought this topic up. This idea of these crazy fucking conspiracy theories that come out of most of these mass shootings
mhm,
are they're not new. I
yeah,
mean, you see them here, you saw them in Vegas,
yeah.
you saw them in
9/11,
oh my god, 9/11.
yeah, they're the main
You
ones
saw
talking
them
about
in Sandy
everything is
Hook.
fake news.
You saw them in Sandy Hook. And
Yeah,
it's like, okay, so first of all, my my husband is from Connecticut, which
mhm,
means that I know people who were from the Sandy Hook area or from the area from where Sandy Hook took place.
right,
And I remember there were, I don't remember exactly who it was, but there was somebody that from that group that they posted something about this conspiracy theory that was basically like, oh, this person is an actor. They aren't even really the person who's related to the teacher. And in this person that I know was quick to be like, first of all, I knew the person who was killed, which was the teacher, one of the teachers at Sandy
right,
Hook. And I know her sister, and
right.
that is her fucking sister. And if you ever want to talk to me about conspiracy theories or fake news or whatever the fuck, by all means, bring it
Yeah,
because this bullshit has no place
but
in
yeah,
what's
in
happening.
real journalism, it's a real reason why they're called
You're always
conspiracy
going to have
theorists,
it. You're
not
always going
journalists.
to have it.
And they get off on it. The fact that
Oh,
I don't give a shit that you can prove me wrong. I've already got 100,000 likes and
exactly.
retweets.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
done. I'm done. I'm going to bed now. I just threw a grenade in your emotions and in your life. I trolled
exactly.
you. I did it. And I,
Exactly.
and I just so my agenda, just so I can hold on to my guns a little longer. If I can make you cry a little bit longer and unite all of my supporters, maybe
Mhm.
I can hold on to my gun collection a little longer.
And I mean,
It's sick.
it's just insulting and it's sick. And you just think about like the parents. I mean, obviously, the situation in Florida is just horrible. I mean, you think about it, it's like you've got teenagers, regardless of their age, but you got students and teachers and all these people that are just trying to figure out a way how to fucking survive. I mean, there's not a lot of people. I mean, there
It's
are
not hard. It's
people
not too much
there.
to ask for. It's not too much to ask for.
Well, not just that, but think about it. There aren't a lot of people in this country who have ever had to be in a situation where they had to figure out how to survive.
Right.
And I mean survive. I
Yeah.
don't mean like,
I don't
how
like,
am I
oh
going
my
to pay
God.
my electrical
Yeah.
bill
Oh
or
my God, the
whatever?
Wi-Fi
I
is
mean,
out.
like,
All
how
this
are you
bullshit.
going to survive in the face of someone who is basically there to murder you? Whether
Exactly.
that means somebody in a classroom, somebody in a war zone, somebody here, somebody
Abuse,
there, whatever,
abusive relationship, a bad, the worst
whatever.
neighborhood in the world. It's all exactly they.
Absolutely.
But when you don't, like when
There
we're talking
are
about
a
connections,
huge group of people out there who truly don't understand what it means to actually have to be in a situation where it means life or death.
it's not happening to me, so it doesn't exist. That bullshit has to
Right.
stop. We need these people need to. I'm not saying we need to put them in war zones and put them in these situations,
No,
but
thank
we
you.
gotta we
You're
gotta
consider
break
yourself
down.
lucky.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like I said earlier, two things can be true. Yeah, it's true. You were raised in a rich family and you got all the privilege in the world and blah 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 and whatnot. But that doesn't mean that just because you've never seen a hungry person ever in your life, that there aren't people starving somewhere
Oh
out
my
there
God.
who deserve to be heard.
Right, exactly.
Well, they can't buy a
And,
yacht,
and
so
and
they
where's your
can't.
fucking compassion? Where's your compassion? Every
Uh,
day, how do you wake up? And, I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm not trying to like, spin off on this, but uh, one of the things that has been discussed a lot about whether it's like welfare reform or food stamps or whatever it
yeah,
is, like you have to keep in mind that you live in a country where for so many years the the middle class or like working class, I like to call them the working class because I don't know exactly if the middle class
I
even
don't even know where
exists.
we don't even know where the middle is anymore.
Right.
That's a moving target now.
But you have a group of people that are called the working class, and I feel like I'm a part of this working class, right?
Right.
And I know a lot of people who are definitely in the working class, and I think that one of the things that you always see is you see these people in this working class who have just been indoctrinated with this idea that the poor people in this country are the
Mhm.
reason. They're made to believe that the poor people in this country are to blame for every strife you have, right?
Yeah.
This comes from shit that I've seen from people that I went to high school with and people that
Yeah.
I know from growing up and all these things. And I'm just like, my only response is like, when are you ever going to understand that you live in a world where you have been convinced that the poor people are to blame for
Blame for
your
everything.
struggle?
Let's
Okay.
let's keep this in mind. We're talking about the group of people who are the most heavily taxed in this
Mhm.
country to fix and to build everything else in the world, all because of the sheer numbers. But yet they're also equally in those people's minds the cause of all the problems.
It's
They hear
wild.
that
And
shit
and
over and over.
I cannot wait for the day when the working class team up with the lower income people in this country, and I
Oh
don't want
yeah,
to say like the poorer class, and they're just
but,
like,
but yeah,
you know
you're right.
what?
They're one paycheck
That's
away
the
sometimes.
motherfucker who's to blame. And
Oh
it's
my god! Didn't we talk about that one time before? Like where we
probably because it's a
I'm
consistent
very
thread in my mind. I mean,
that what was it, that coworker who was convinced when he lost his job that it was that he could
oh
get it,
yes,
yeah, they could get it
yes,
back and whatnot. It's like, well, we got to blame those guys over there. They're the reason why you lost your job. Don't blame me. Like, no, you're the fucker who signs my check and you're the one handing me this pink slip. I am blaming you. Like they somehow they get convinced to go, oh, it must be that minority over there. Oh, it must be that guy over there. They're to blame. No, they didn't hire you, and they damn sure didn't just fire you. Stop
yeah.
blame. You fell for the trick. They fell for the rope a dope again. They fell
They
for
did. And you know what? The people who are the working class who fall for that bullshit are the same people that I hope, above hope, will eventually understand that one day um, the the poor, meaning themselves, because I'm sorry, but if you're working class, technically you're poor. Not in my eyes, but in the eyes of the rich motherfuckers in this country, the only thing they'll have left to eat is the rich.
it. Yeah.
So good luck. May the odds be forever in your favor.
Exactly. So
So
let's
what was the other thing you wanted to talk about?
how do we get this back on the let's talk about the good part of the week.
Yeah,
What
let's
was
do it. Are
the
we
big thing that happened? No spoilers, right?
can I do the Wakanda Forever or am I too white?
Oh, well, I guess it's all how you feel. Do you feel you're too white?
No.
Well, then
I
go ahead.
Yeah, Wakanda Forever. Just saying.
so
Once
so
that
if you
once that
if you're
ancestry DNA test comes in, you motherfuckers are gonna be
right, if you guys haven't figured it out, if you're one of those three people in the world who haven't watched it by now, it's so this Black Panther movie just dropped, and it's already the fifth. It's on the list. It's the fifth movie in history to have a 200 million plus opening over the weekend. Only
it
five
was
other only yeah,
amazing.
well, only four other movies in the history have done it, and we're talking like Star Wars and stuff like that. We're talking
Which
those
is
types
just
of
like
movies.
should be outside of the realm of like any kind of
Oh,
whatever.
stop that! Stop.
No, I'm just saying, can we put Star Wars over here and then every other movie over here?
No, we're talking. No, it's on that list of if you made over 200 million in the first three weekends, then
I'm
that.
just saying, I
Oh
don't like
yeah.
to have to defend Star Wars in anything. I mean, it's
Well,
its own category.
it's not a guarantee that they're always going to make 200 million. They just happen to do.
Yeah,
It's
well, Disney is making sure of that.
well, yeah, of course.
Okay,
But
sorry, I got
but Disney,
grievances.
well, Disney also is producer of these too. So
Yeah, I know,
where's
I
your
get
loyalty?
it. So, what were your thoughts about Black Panther? I mean, because
About
I
the
don't know if people know this, but you're black.
I don't. I love the fact that I got my own little history lesson here, Black History Month on this because I always thought. I mean, he wasn't one of the comic book characters that I followed mainly. I was a Superman, Batman type of Spider Man, mostly kind of a
Were
guy.
you Marvel or DC, or did you have a
I'm both.
preference?
No, I don't believe this whole one should be against the other kind of thing.
Just wondering. I know people who prefer one or the other.
Yeah, but that's dumb because if trust me, Marvel wants DC movies to do good because if they just come out of if comic book fans or movie fans come out of a good comic book movie film, whether it's Superman or Marvel, then they're gonna be excited about the next one. Go, wow, that was great! I can't wait to see what the next
Yeah.
one's coming around. All the tide raises all ships and whatnot because I tell you what, if a bunch of Marvel movies were doing bad right
God
now,
damn it.
then
Tide raises all shifts. I love that.
the
Sorry.
rising
I
tide.
digress.
So yeah, I'm telling you because if all these Marvel movies were doing bad, then these DC ones wouldn't come out, and vice versa. It would hurt everything.
Yeah, it's a
So
team effort.
I don't try to I don't try to get on the whole which one's better. I want them all to be good. But Black Panther it was good in a lot of ways. I did a story on T3 Media's last year or the year before that when it was announced, and I was excited about the fact that if it stayed consistent on what what Marvel does, Iron Man had a $120 million budget. Every movie after that had that budget at least or higher.
Hmm.
So right there off the bat, that meant that Black Panther being a all mostly black cast, black
Hmm.
director, and whatnot would be the highest budgeted most all black cast movie ever. Then had the potential to just crushing it at the box office. Not only did it beat all of that, it just and more, and I was excited about that. Then the history lesson that I learned was I always thought that Black Panther, the character, was based off of the Black Panther Party. I
Oh,
learned that the opposite is true.
that is
That
not true.
yeah, that Kirby and Stan Lee came up with Black Panther literally 3 months before the Black Panther Party was founded.
Really? Only 3 months?
3 months. Yeah, the character
Wow, I
was
did
first
not know that.
introduced in
That's
the
amazing.
yeah,
I
so
love that. So it's
3 months.
almost like I
It
wonder
was
if there
it
was
was a
any kind of
coincidence.
coalition. Oh
No, it was
no.
a
Okay. All
total
right.
coincidence. They were already
Wow.
in the process of starting their Black
God
Panther
damn,
Party.
I love that. Makes me want to join the Black Panthers even more.
Yeah, yeah. And the comic and Marvel was coming up with that issue already writing. It was a
I know,
total
I love
coincidence.
that.
And it was the interesting thing is that they didn't want when they were obviously when they were public enemy number one, they didn't want the bad press. So for a while, Black Panther's name was changed to Black Leopard, and then later switched back. It was
That
like, you
doesn't
know
have the
what?
same feel.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what? If even though I don't 100% agree with their methods and whatnot, if they get this inspiration by my kingdom and my blah 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 blah, then they later tried to course correct it, but now they totally like embrace it now.
I love it. No, I actually we went and saw the movie on Saturday
Here we
and
go, guys. Michael B. Jordan. Just prepare yourself.
okay, first of all, um this is coming off of me binging on The Wire,
Mm.
which if
Wait,
you've ever watched The Wire,
still haven't watched it.
how is that possible, Chris? Get your shit together. First of all, if you're out there and you're listening and you have not binged on HBO's The Wire, get your life together and just spend some time doing it. It's a great show. It's amazing. You'll love it. And Idris Elba. Okay, that's all I gotta say. Idris Elba, my number one. Number one, Idris Elba. Number two, Esteban. Okay, I'm just saying. But Michael B. Jordan obviously was in this show in the second or third season. I can't remember. He was a baby. I mean, young, 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 young. And then I go to Black Panther and I see him, and I knew he was in Creed, obviously, but I never saw Creed. And then I saw him in this. I'm like, God damn, he done growed up. But the movie was amazing. The movie was full of like symbolism that I think a lot of people will obviously ignore or they won't understand because maybe they've grown up in this world where whatever they've been taught to believe about slavery and whatnot. But I think the ultimate thing that I took from it was, obviously Wakanda is not a real place. We know that. I'm not like, blowing people's minds here, but the fact remains that I think what it symbolized was that this was something that could have actually existed had colonizers not come in and raped Africa of every single natural resource that they were given and taken the power away from the people who lived there about to decide what happened to those natural resources. And I get that that's like oh yeah, we get that to most people, but there are some people out there that don't get that. So I just want to be the person that says, hey guys, I don't know if you know this, but Africa was rich in so many natural resources, and colonizers did come in and they took those resources. And not only that, but they enslaved the people that lived there and they raped the land of every single thing that could potentially come from that land. And they took it and they profited off of it and they just returned shit back to everybody who lived there. But because I know people who think that. I know people who believe that there is an alternative universe to what really happened when it came to Africa being stripped of its natural resources. So I just feel like I want to be the white girl in the room that's like, hey guys, remember that? But they don't.
Nobody wants to. If it's like we talked about earlier with the disconnect, if they don't see it, that I also want to talk about the fact that I saw on online how one person was being someone, it was a woman on Facebook, said that it's funny how people are making fun of or talking bad about the people who dressed up in African robe or garb to go see the movie out of pride of probably of their real heritage, but yet. And then she showed a picture of a movie theater filled with a bunch of Darth Vader's, Jedi's, and stuff. And said, but yet this is okay. 100%.
And can we just get a side picture of like
they were side by
fucking
side.
Asshole people doing like Confederate Army reenactments?
Yeah, exactly.
Can we talk about that?
And I think this is part of the reason why this movie did so well. It was brought out. It had the right team, had the right director.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
We're talking about the same director of Fruitvale Station and Creed. And after this, he's about to. I'm sure he's going to get a lot of work. Exactly. I think it speaks to the fact that people are ready for something different. For years, especially in the entertainment world, we get the same old stuff. And now,
Mhm.
like the movie Coco that just came out, um,
It was great. It was
Moana,
very culturally sensitive.
yeah, it's you get a bunch of people getting mad saying, "Well, they're trying to make us feel bad for being white." It's like, no, like, dude, you're already
No,
dominating. You
exactly.
have
I'm
ABC.
sorry.
You got, yeah, we've already heard these stories before. Can we hear some new shit? And people are
Not
ready
just
for it.
that, not just that, but you know what? I'm going to speak for all the white people in the room.
Hmm.
Look, I get it. Your history classes all throughout school were whitewashed. Mine too. I understand. It's a weird place to be in, to have to face a reality where you have to understand that everything you were taught in school was completely fucking whitewashed. It was lie and it was bullshit. But look, there is a freedom and understanding what really happened. You don't have to defend the lie anymore.
Hmm. I mean, you hit it on the head earlier when you said that one person getting something or their success doesn't take anything away from you and whatnot. I mean,
It doesn't.
Disney isn't about to become Black Disney or Black. It's not about to be the Warner Brothers, the Warner Brothers. You know,
Yeah.
it's not about to have
Although I'm not opposed to that, especially if they have
Michael
Michael
B.
B.
Jordan.
Jordan as their spokesperson.
But yeah,
Shirtless,
this episode
preferably.
is was probably officially unofficially brought to you by Michael B. Jordan. Oh, and by the way,
Michael B. Jordan shirtless. Not any other Michael B. Jordan, just shirtless.
his new direct TV commercial with Bill Goldberg is hilarious. Have you seen
Didn't
that
see it.
the guy bursts he lights the fuse and it's
Is
about to
it
blow up. It
Jeff
blows up.
Goldberg or
Uh, Bill, I think is it Jeff Goldberg or Bill Goldberg? I know his name is Goldberg. He's a former wrestler.
oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
you gotta
I'm gonna leave
watch
that.
the commercial. I won't tell you what happens if you haven't seen it. Watch the commercial. It's Direct TV, but just type in Direct TV Michael B. Jordan. You're
Okay.
welcome.
No,
You'll
no.
love it. It's like
I
30
love it.
seconds long.
I
You'll
love
love
it.
it.
He's
All right.
adorable. I love it.
Well,
Totally
that's what I got
stupid.
going. Go see
Anyways,
Black Panther.
go see Black Panther. Read
Go
up
see my
on
review.
toxic. Go see his review. Read up on toxic masculinity and its place in our society. And if you are a father or a mother who is saddled with the daunting task of creating a human being that's not going to go out into the world and just going to be a complete fucking asshole,
Mhm.
maybe take a look at some of the ways that you could prepare your child, whether they're male or female, to just be a constructive part of society.
Right. And to all the people out there who's always bitching and moaning about how everything is fake news and whatnot, why don't you take the time to look at the hypocrisy of getting online, especially after a tragedy, and trying to
Mhm.
pick apart a student and saying that his history is this conspiracy theory is alive and well when it's not even true, and you get where you're easily exposed and easily proven wrong, but yet you want to be the champions of what's fake and what's real out there, where you're constantly cutting and pasting reality and just putting shit through the Xerox machine and trying to just pass off propaganda. I guess the Russians won because I mean
They did.
this
They
was the
actually
party
did win.
this was the
They
party
actually
who was
did win.
100% against communism and whatnot.
Mhm.
It's like they don't give a shit anymore. Putin is awesome. I guess it's over. I guess it's over. We'll see.
Look,
2018 people, wake up.
look, just look. If I had to give you 3 words, 4 words of advice to leave you with today,
Wake the fuck up.
Google it, motherfucker. Just Google it. You don't have
Exactly.
to be bright. No one's asking you to reinvent the wheel. I'm just saying, go on to that stupid little thing you hold in your hand 95% of the time and just go to your little Google icon or Safari or whatever bunk bullshit you're using and just Google the topic and embrace everything. I mean, if you see something you don't like, Google it and say, I don't know if I believe this, and look for the factual evidence to back it up or to disprove it. That's it.
Next week we're gonna definitely get into some more topics. We had a bunch of other stuff to get into, but a lot of this stuff is ongoing. So we agreed to let it play out. We got something happening Friday. Let's see what's gonna happen. And so next week we're going to be just as passionate as we are have been today. But I'm done. This has been
fun. No, it's been great. And one thing I just want to push out there, you're going to see a lot of social media posts from us. You're going to see a lot of, hey, listen to our show, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Go out there, give us a share, give us a like, give us a push. And hey, even if you don't agree with us, we want your input. We want to talk about what it is that you're thinking. If you have an idea for something for us to talk about, just post it. We read everything because we're obsessed, because we really feel like nobody listens to our podcast. So we'll listen and we'll read everything.
Yeah, we're definitely listening to you guys. And the next time you're going to hear our voice, hopefully we're going to get some things coming out. You know that I've already started this new podcast called The Swirl. We're going to talk about some race stuff. It's mostly on a comedy level though. So you want to laugh, you want to enjoy some.
Oh yeah, we'll be fun.
We're going to get into it. But this has been a good one. Till next time, guys. Peace out.
Yeah. Have a good day. Have a good week. Be good to each other. And we'll see you next week.
And we are out.